Thank you, Senator Beall, for the opportunity to discuss fairness, transparency, and accountability for California students, families, educators, and taxpayers. I'm Julian Vasquez, Heilig, Professor of Educational Policy and Leadership at California State, Sacramento. I also serve as the Education Chair for the California NAACP. In the fall of 2016, the NAACP National Board of Directors approved a national resolution calling for the moratorium on charter schools until more transparency and accountability in their operations can be achieved. Following this action, the NAACP created a task force on high-quality education to understand the impact of charter schools and traditional public schools on students of color in the inner city. The task force conducted a listening tour across the United States in cities most impacted by private control and privatization, including Detroit, New Orleans, and Los Angeles. The task force mission was to make recommendations to the NAACP's Board of Directors on policy and actions needed to improve the quality of education for students of color being educated with public funds and to ensure the sustainability of an effective public education system for every single student. The NAACP's High Quality Education Task Force report made the following 4 recommendations. First, school finance reform is needed. To solve the quality education problems that are at the root of many issues, school finance inequity still persists, and it's essential to ensure that resources are allocated according to student needs. As Senator Beall stated, this is one of the real fights, fully funding education. In fact, inequity still persists in California despite the positive direction charted by the LCAP and the LCFF. For example, while Los Angeles has experienced a 17% increase in funding and Oakland a 12% increase in funding pre and post LCFF, a wealthy district like Beverly Hills has seen a 25% increase, Palo Alto a 24% increase. The second recommendation, invest in low-performing schools and schools with significant opportunity gaps. To ensure that all students receive a high-quality education, federal and state policies need to do the following: attract and retain fully qualified educators, improve educational quality, and provide wraparound services for young people. Community schools are one such model by which we can do this. Third, mandate a rigorous authoring and renewal process for charters. Only local districts should serve as authorizers. Empower those districts to reject applicants that do not meet standards and establish policies for serious and consistent oversight. The task force report states, states with the fewest authorizers have been found to have the strongest charter school outcomes. To do this, states should allow districts to serve as authorizers and should empower them to reject applications that do not meet certain standards. In fact, at about 40%, the California Board of Education has the highest charter failure rate of any level of authorizer in California since 2001. This is about 15% higher than county authorized charters and 10% higher than unified district authorized charters. And we can make that data available to you if you're interested. Eliminate for-profit charter schools. This is still a challenge in California. They still exist here. No federal, state, or local taxpayer dollars should be used to fund for-profit charter schools, nor should public funding be sent from nonprofit charters to for-profit charter management companies. We can look to my birth state of Michigan and Betsy DeVos' inspired for-profit industry disaster. And we probably saw her 60 Minutes interview, which was also a disaster. More than 80% of charters there are for-profit, which has led to the Great Lakes state dropping to one of the lowest performing states in the nation. California has more charter schools than any other state. So in conclusion, without increased funding from the LCFF during the past several years, the unspoken situation that most districts would likely be facing is $1 million shortfalls due to charter schools. These $1 million shortfalls are already being realized in Oakland, Eastside Union, and many other districts. In fact, there are now districts that have more charter schools in their boundaries than neighborhood public schools. We're at a tipping point. Our local communities should be able to consider finances when they look at charter school petitions. Furthermore, charters like KIPP should not be fiending to circumvent local control because they believe that the California State Board of Education is ready and willing to oblige. In my view, the approach in SB 1362 is aligned with the recommendations in the NAACP's Task Force on High-Quality Education and is a step forward for more fairness, transparency, and accountability for students, families, educators, taxpayers of the state of California. Thank you for your time, Senator.